Hi, everybody. Welcome to my next episode of What Are You Chasing? I'm really excited about my guest today, a good friend of mine, Pete. I'm going to go ahead and let Pete tell you about himself and his background and what he brings to this conversation. Hi, Pete.
Hey, Crystal. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. So I'm looking forward to an interesting conversation about coaching. A little bit about me. I have been a coach not for long, a little under 2 years now. And prior to that, I was completely embedded into the corporate world. I was a marketer for technology companies in Europe and the States. And yeah, over the course of that career and working for several companies, I just got to see some of the challenges in business in terms of not just kind of people's kind of performance, but more importantly, people's morale and people's kind of state of mind in companies, and trying to find that work-life balance and trying to avoid things like burnout and stress and there's all kinds of things that we can get into. But so I decided to kind of look into how coaching can help, and I looked at various different types of coaching, but the approach that I use, and it's the same approach, Crystal, that you use too, using the three principles, has been the most effective because it deals at the root of the human condition, which is the mind and how we think. So I've started to apply that to help people that I know in business that are going through some challenges. I also coach personal coaching too. So people who are feeling anxious or stressed or depressed, or just even people who just don't, are lacking purpose, and, kind of lacking meaning, and what's it all about. And this approach doesn't just help you on a day-to-day basis. It can give you this profound insight into why we're here, what's all this about, and the big questions that almost everybody has. And I think we certainly go a ways to help to answer that for people in this approach. So yeah, I love doing this, and I love seeing the benefits it can bring to people. And yeah, looking forward to talking more about it with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And interesting, you kind of touched on it, like knowing where our experience comes from, that it comes from within. It allows us to see frustrations as just temporary feelings, and not our fixed realities. And to me, that can be crucial in a corporate setting, because,
Yeah.
frustrations and the things we make up and the stress that people experience in those situations. I mean, like you said, the principles is a game changer for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you understand that the nature of our experience is all about what we think. We wouldn't be able to experience anything if we didn't think it, right?
Right.
And what's really interesting here, and I use this analogy a lot when I talk to folks in business and personal for that matter as well, is that the human mind is really powerful, right? And it's been designed to protect us, to preserve us, and it since it's kind of like it's kind of inception, it was primarily designed to protect us from physical harm, from like physical security. So, I use this analogy of like, you're a cave person and you're walking out the cave to hunt for your food. But you know that in the bushes somewhere there could be some saber-toothed tiger ready to get you. So you need to be aware, you need to be fearful and be aware that that could happen. So your mind starts to give you all of these, what if it's over in that bush, or what if you went that direction instead of that direction? And they're very necessary things that the mind needs to do to kind of mitigate what could happen in the future. Now, fast forward to now, and society has evolved much faster than our subconscious mind has been able to evolve. So what used to be a saber-toothed tiger in the bushes is now an email from the boss saying, "Can we meet at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning?" Well, your mind straight away is, "I'm going to get fired. I'm going
Right.
to..." And not only that, Crystal, but that "I'm going to get fired" can very soon escalate into, "I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to be destitute." And all of that can spiral down in 5 seconds. And then that sets you for the rest of the day or the rest of the evening. as a fearful person or a distracted person or an angry person, anything other than the person that you're supposed to be, you. So I use that analogy a lot to say, look, there's nothing wrong with the mind presenting what is to try and protect you, as long as you know that's all it's trying to do. And most of those thoughts, that email the next day is probably your boss giving you a promotion at 9 a.m. You know,
Absolutely.
most of these things are just made up illusions, but we
Mhm.
believe them, and that's the source of many of our problems, I think.
Absolutely. And like you said, it just takes that one email and it creates a snowball effect of, oh my gosh, what if this? What if that? What if, what if, what if, what if? And it's like you just get stuck in that feedback loop in your mind of just playing out all of these scenarios
Yeah,
that are completely 100% made up. You're making them up and you're thinking in the moment based off of what you're feeling, because maybe in the past you've experienced an email from a boss that wasn't good. So you're just, we tend to take those past experiences and
yeah,
project them right into the future that hasn't even happened, and carrying those kinds of things with us. They're not helpful. They're not helpful. And it creates, like you said, now this person would be, thinking all of these things in their head, and their day is not good, their evening's not good, and they're stressed out, they're worried, and like you said, you go to the boss's office the next morning and it a promotion or an award or
yeah, yeah,
something completely different. And then if you would reflect for just a moment, all the time that was lost, the energy that was wasted on the, oh gosh, what if, all the
yeah.
negativity and feeding into that thinking. It exhausts me talking about
Now,
it.
now, if you think about that now, Crystal, multiplied by a large number of people working together in a business, um,
Right.
then what is the cost to the business in doing that, right? So you have this
Yeah.
you have a group of people who are feeling insecure, who are not feeling psychologically safe, all because they've imagined these, or their minds have imagined these illusory what ifs of the future, right? They're not
Right.
really able to really focus on the job as forcefully as they can. But the real cost, I think, is you completely close down any element of creativity, because creativity comes when you feel relaxed and you feel you're not really thinking about anything, and then these ideas come out, and that's what one idea can take a business into the stratosphere if it's the right idea. But if you close that down by creating an environment where employees in business just feel pressured, or just don't feel that they can, that they're being recognized, or their contributions are not being recognized, that they feel stressed out, then that creativity gets blocked, and that's a real problem. And in the coaching approach here is, we're talking the three principles about inside out thinking rather than
Mhm.
outside in thinking. In business, most people are driven by outside in thinking. So it's that email from the boss that's causing me to feel like that. It's the fact that my fellow employee disrespected me yesterday. It's their fault that I feel this way. And then you put the blame on them, and that starts to break down relationships within organizations. When in actual fact, there is nothing, as we know from three principles, Crystal, there is nothing that the external world can do to you that you can't that can change your inner state. Only you can change your inner state. I used to have a fellow employee that worked with me that, you just know someone you just cannot get on well with at work. You just very different personalities. They have the opposite opinion of you, and sometimes
Mhm.
they will be, they will come across as maybe belligerent or insulting sometimes. And I remember a few years ago, this one particular person just infuriated me, and I used to dread having meetings with him, because I knew he just didn't like me, and we didn't like each other, and we were out to, and I was convinced that he was causing me to feel like this, and that's not the case at all. He is being who he is. It's nothing to do with him, how I feel. about him. It's all about me and the way I think. So when I'm coaching individuals or groups within organizations, I start to talk about this inside out way of thinking that
Mhm.
that it is not what's happening on the, in with other employees or what the business is doing or what the boss is doing. It's all about the way you think about it. And when you can step back and disconnect and take some responsibility from the way you think, things change and you don't treat things so seriously anymore. And people actually get better at their jobs. Relationships improved. Um, so when I started with my challenge, I talked to someone that didn't have the complete three principles approach, but was sharing with me that, you know, what he's doing is nothing to do with him and all about you. Um, I took a step back and the relationship improved almost overnight. And when it did, we came out with some really good ideas together, collaborated well. I'm not saying it was completely 100% great, but hey, we delivered a lot more than we would have in the old way. So there's tangible results from doing this in business.
That, you know what? I love that. That's beautiful right there, Pete. That's beautiful. Because it's true, because clarity of mind is crucial, in so many aspects of life, but including the corporate world.
Yeah,
And if you're having a bunch of thinking about a coworker that you might be collaborating with, and you're not going to see eye to eye, and worse than that, the communication breakdown. You're just not going to be able to be open and hear each other's ideas. Rather, just shoot them down instead, because like you said, the thinking that we're having in our minds. So yeah, I love that, because the clarity of mind and taking a step back and having that pause is so effective to getting so much more accomplished. I mean, and even the leaders in these companies, the leadership roles, I think it's crucial for them as well.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I actually take the kind of there's a three levels to the way
Mhm.
I approach it. The first one is the employee, and we've just talked a little bit about that. So things
Mhm.
like kind of imposter syndrome is huge, right? I'm not good enough.
Right.
I'm winging this. When
Right.
we've probably got a resume that shows that you're more than qualified to do the
Mhm.
job, but I've been through it. Many people have been through thinking, can I actually do this? That's your
Mhm.
mind. It's only your mind thinking about these things. It's not real. It's an illusion. So things like that, things like burnout and stress, that's level one. Level two is leadership, as you say, Crystal, which is
Mhm.
hugely important. That leaders understand that the people that work for them are not, I call it whole person coaching. It's these people are human beings. They're not just titles and roles that perform a job. They have families, they have a life outside of work. And if you want them to bring their whole person to the business, which will give you so much more in return, you need to be empathetic to that as a leader. And very, very few people, leaders that I've experienced have been, right? That you're a
Right.
resource. Then the third level is the business itself, right? The whole
Mhm.
business, the business as a whole. So what can a business achieve? And there are tangible results in terms of productivity, in terms of retention, in terms of the ability to recruit people that are attracted to a culture of inclusivity and where the way people think and their work life, their whole person is considered. That's a much more attractive company to work for. And the generations coming into the workforce now, they're they're preferring to work for companies like that. And then the final
Mhm.
point is this element of creativity, which is hugely important, is that companies that really make leap changes and really kind of massive leaps of innovation in terms of what they're doing. Those ideas that cause those innovations come from employees. So if you foster an
Mhm.
environment where people are free to or can think freely and have the headspace not to deal with cultural problems and personality problems and collaboration problems, but really to really think about, wow, how can I really help this business and want to do it? That is just there's no salary that can pay for that.
That's beautiful. Again, I mean, I want to come up with another word, but it's perfect, and it's beautiful, and it's right. And if people could just see we're all human beings, okay?
Yeah,
Like you said, even in this understanding, sometimes we are going to get a little into our heads and, maybe have some of that imposter syndrome and negative thinking. And, like you said, it's just not productive, not in decision making, not in problem solving, none of it. If you cannot see, have that clarity there, you can't expect to have space for new thought,
yeah,
new ideas,
exactly.
innovations. It's just not going to be possible for
Yeah,
people. And I
yeah,
love what you do. I love that you take this to the corporate world because, wow, even though there's so many people out there that can use, the principles and would benefit from them immensely. One of the things I do see is the corporations, is the
yeah,
wow, they could use it. And I'm not trying to judge like businesses and corporations, but even from my past experiences and, kind of listening to conversations with friends, and it's kind of sad sometimes for me. I just am like, wow, they're so lost. If they just knew that there was a better way and much easier way.
yeah. I think people, I think people feel tied to having to tolerate working in an environment where they're not really happy because they get paid to do it, right? So, and there are very few people that get paid to do exactly what they want to do, but the people that do tend to be the people who are more successful, because when you follow your passion, what we would call our innate wisdom, then you will be successful in doing it, And there's a lot of traditional coaching approaches to business are all very much based upon performance, right? So it's like, how can you do more? How can you get more? How can you measure more? And that actually, I believe, is actually going in the opposite direction to where we need to go, because that then reinforces the fact that you are X being a salesperson or a marketing person or whatever you do, is all geared towards being the best, making the most money. And that's what got us in this situation in the first place.
Mhm.
I'm not saying there's no place for performance coaching, but I think it needs to be augmented with what's going on in the mind of the person being told to perform. Because if you can't take that into account, then people are treated like robots. And I've been through that
Mhm.
experience personally many times where, you put a salary in and you get something out, sales, whatever. Um,
Right.
but what happens in between? Like, what's the process of going through that? And that process is a thinking process. It's an emotional process. It's a behavioral process. And as we know, thinking leads to feeling, leads to behavior, and it's a cycle, right? So you may put X in and get Y out, but if in between you're kind of internally kind of destroying the person inside, which I've seen
Mhm.
it happen to people. I've seen people burn out and have to leave the job because they've been destroyed inside, because their values don't match with the culture of the company or whatever. And it just doesn't need to be like that. A company can put X in and get 3X out, 4X out, uh, but also treat the employee like a human being with a thinking mind. And that's what I'm trying to get to.
I love it because that's beautiful, because I think that's actually a huge piece of what's missing in businesses and in the way they're ran is treating your employees as a human being. And vice versa sometimes too, for the employee, realizing
Yeah,
that your boss too is a human being.
yeah, absolutely, Crystal. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, Pete. I love what you do, and I wish you all the success, man. You're anybody coached by Pete, any corporation, any business, you are, oh my gosh, you're blessed and lucky and just wow. I hope that this reaches so many people, Pete, because you have a lot to offer. You really do. And your wisdom is beautiful. And you embody those principles and you just know.
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that. And you know, a lot of this is driven by kind of passion that comes from first-hand experience of this. I've been that guy coming home and having to open a bottle of wine because the day has just been so stressful, and kind of being called grumpy dad by my kids, and no, I refuse to spend what 50 hours a week doing that for 2 days a week break and 3 weeks a year break. And
Right.
that you spend a percentage of your time, a significant percentage of your time working. Um, and that should not be a dissatisfied, unhappy 50 hours. There's something right. We human beings were not meant to live like that. Our innate wisdom does not want us to go in that direction at all. So if you see that, if you recognize it, if you want to, often I talk to people about, look, you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, right? You're doing the same thing day in, day out. I can coach them to do, three things, right? Is to kind of be okay on the hamster wheel, to
Mhm.
get off the hamster wheel, or to reinvent it. And I'll help people to do all three, but please don't stay on it, especially if you know you're on it. Because there's a lot of people that don't even know they're on a hamster wheel. They're not happy, but they don't know that. This is life. This is what their life is. But what they don't realize is the impact that's having on other people, their family, their kids, their friends, their
Yes.
colleagues. They don't see it. And I want to try and break that cycle. If you're happy and other people around you are happy, there isn't a problem. But I'd say those people are unfortunately right now in the minority. So there's a lot of
Right.
people out there that need not help, that need understanding, that need to understand the way the mind works, because that sits at the root of all of this, Crystal, all of it, which is why I love the three principles, because
Absolutely.
it can deal with all of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can take it into any aspect of life, from in your home, your relationships with your kids, your spouse, your partner, and like you taking it into the corporate world as well. You know, if we were just a bit nicer, and I like what you said. It makes a huge difference, that 50-hour a week job that have to, okay, I have to doing something that you absolutely in your soul you love. It's not even a job. Like, I mean, it is. I'm not trying to take away from it, but it doesn't feel like work. It
Yeah.
just feels natural and beautiful. And then when you do help clients, I think you can agree with this. As we do help clients, and we're just facilitating what's already inside everybody. It's already there. Oh wow, it's an amazing sight to see. It's an amazing sight to see someone change before your eyes. And then the feedback that you get, down the road, whether, months later, and
Yeah.
how much it has helped them and changed their company or their home life or whatever it may be. Wow, that's this true gratitude comes from me, in the fact that I was able to work with them. And I think, you understand what I'm saying there. You're just grateful that you can take this experience and just
Yeah.
help, help
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah, yeah, and Chris, I just wanted to, what we're offering here is not, a completely happy,
Thank
peaceful,
you.
all, this is an understanding about the way things work, the way reality really works. So you will still go, people will still have imposter syndrome, people will still be stressed out, but yeah, but now you know why. And when you know
Mhm.
why, when you have the understanding of the mechanism behind it
Mhm.
loses its power. It really does, and it doesn't stick around as long. It
True.
will, it will come up. It will come up. Geez, Sid Banks had similar challenges too, and he was the guy that the enlightened guy that started all of this. Well, human
Mhm.
beings were meant to ride a roller coaster, but most of us don't know we're on a roller coaster.
Right.
When you understand the nature of the roller coaster, then you ride it. You just ride it and you kind of have fun.
Yeah,
It just becomes a little less serious. And,
absolutely.
so you may not find this ultimate job that gives you full passion, but you may be in a job that doesn't give you 100% satisfaction, but you understand why. And that is half the battle. It really is.
Great point. I love that, Pete. That's fantastic. That really is half the battle, is understanding, is just understanding how our human experience works
Exactly.
helps us to navigate those difficult situations. Because yeah, you're right. We're still going to have them. It's still going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and it has to. I think that's part of the human condition. I'd go so far as to say, Crystal, that's kind of why we're here. We're here to
absolutely.
experience the ups and downs in life. That's where the universe experiencing itself. And so it wants a wide range of experiences to experience. Um, but but when you know that that's what's happening, then
Yes.
like it's like watching a movie. You can get really stressed out by watching a scary movie, but when you know it's a movie, it's
Yeah.
not quite so scary anymore,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Pete, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know your schedule is full. Please, I will put in the comments, but let everybody know how they can reach you, the name of your company. I'm sorry I even left that all out.
No, no, sure. No, thanks, Crystal. So the name of the company is Life Shift, Life Shift. The website is New Life Shift. So you can go on there and check out what I do. So it's not just corporate coaching, it's personal too. So I have a lot of personal clients as well. But yeah, just check me out. And if you want to find out more, we do a free intro call and yeah, and have a chat.
Beautiful, Pete, beautiful. And thank you. And yeah, I wanted to add that one thing really fast. And you do not just corporate, but you do one-on-one, because you know what? Helping just that one person sometimes helps them change their whole work experience too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And maybe can help their colleagues as well. Like we say here, all boats rise, right? And when you start to see some of your colleagues, behave differently, and a lot of people have been through three P's coaching, as you know, Crystal, they
Yes.
change for the better. They change. They're a lot less stressed out. They're easygoing. Yeah, yeah, me
Yeah.
too. When you start to experience a colleague changing, it changes those around them too,
Yeah,
So, yeah, personal coaching is an important aspect of this. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Pete, thank you so much. I just enjoy talking to you. Your wisdom, your knowledge, just a beautiful person. I really
Crystal,
love it.
thank you so much. And again, thanks for inviting me. It's been great to catch up with you and to share this with you, and any opportunities to talk about the three principles, I'm always here. So
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed it, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pete.
All right. Take care.
You too. Have a
Bye.
great one. Bye.
Bye.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching or listening to What Are You Chasing? We'll see you on the next episode.